Y'all, I know we don't do a lot of interviews, but I don't know what the gay gods did, but something aligned. And today on Reality Gaze, we have from 90 Day Fiancé, The Last Resort, because it truly is the last resort. We have therapist James Kelleher. James.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for having me here. I'm excited.
Hi, James.
You wore a suit and you're in a beautiful background. Poodle's in a holy t-shirt right now in his kitchen.
A hole in the back.
My hair's askew. You came correct and we didn't, James. Thank you.
Well, listen, your backgrounds, you're keeping it real and authentic. It's just because I was seeing clients today, but I will say I was excited to see you, both of you. So,
but I bet was you're a therapist. You do so much online stuff now. You have to think about your background because I'm sure clients comment on it.
That's right. You know, I want something that's conducive, relaxing, nothing that's too busy.
Well, yeah. What is your background, actually? Let's jump in. What is your background? How did you get involved with the show?
You know, it's fascinating. It's almost crazy. I literally got an email that I wound up deleting. It said Sony Sharp. I did not know what it was about. And it wasn't until a few days later that I got the same thing. So I had to do a little research and I said, what the hell is this? Asking about a show. So I said, why not? After thinking about it, reading about it, making sure it was legit because I thought it was spam. I called and it was a casting director and I started talking to her. And it just kind of took off from there, asked me some questions, then turned into like interview. And after that, I mean, all within hours, I was receiving phone calls saying, James, we're interested in having you on the show. They passed me on to producers. I mean, it was really a whirlwind. And yeah, it was crazy. I took a step back and I said, the way the universe put this in my lap, why not?
Well, did you know anything about 90 Day Fiancé, this show? Did you know what you were walking into?
Absolutely not. And listen, I mean, who hasn't heard of 90 Day Fiancé? I don't know anything about the couples, the people. I've never watched one. Sorry to say, people, I've never watched any of them.
Girl, you did not know what you were getting into.
Not at all. Not at all.
People don't, but as soon as you step into it, you start seeing like the people everywhere and quotes everywhere. Yeah. And I always say that for everyone out there, for every man or who doesn't watch or woman who doesn't watch, there is a woman in your life who watches the show.
Absolutely.
And then all of a sudden you say, I'm going to be on a 90. They go, what? And freak out about it.
Yeah. Absolutely. So one of my girlfriends, just that, you're so right, Jake, somebody gave me these wine glasses when we had a viewing party and it said all these little quotes. I had no idea. I'm just like taking a picture with them and people are responding like, do you know what this means? And no, because I don't watch the shows.
The show has its own language and its own kind of lore and its own world now. And now you're part of it.
Now I'm part. I learned fast.
It's like Lord of the Rings, but with Darcy and Stacy as the helm. Which we love.
Which, by the way, you guys do a fabulous job. I live for your readings when you guys do that.
They are our queens. They get it. They're also they're lovely and they're extremely nice. And
we did an interview with them years ago.
They're just lovely. Yeah. They're supporters of us. And so
Florian was very confused in the interview though. The Zoom came on.
Listen. Just like 90 Day has its own lingo, you guys, and being a part of the community, you have your own lingo.
We do, Our theory is that Florian is a 600-year-old vampire who climbed through a magic mirror and is still trying to communicate with the present world.
He doesn't understand the present world.
But anyway, we just have a couple of questions for you, more about the show and your time there. Like, was there, we've gotten through, I think this is episode 14 we've seen.
Yeah.
And so we just wonder, was there a moment where you were watching like a scenario play out and we're up to now and you're like, I wonder if there was a session I had that I wish this made it in because this would have explained this event. Or was
a breakthrough that we didn't see or something like that with any of the cast members?
More enlightening?
Oh, very good question. I'm thinking about my response, but here's the general response.
Yeah.
What I've learned is in this whole world of TV, let alone reality TV, things are condensed. So to answer your question, overall, yes. I feel like we've put so many hours into doing these individual therapy sessions, and there were so many moments and even pivotal moments that happened within these sessions. For me, sitting and talking with Rob and Sophie, more that came up in my session with Natalie. There were just so many moments that they're just quick little clips that you see. And you
How
really
long
don't.
Are you actually in therapy? Because I remember talking with Yara one time when we met her. She talked about how this was life-changing for her, but she explained, I think, are y'all doing sessions like all day, every day? Like, what's the process that they're going through?
Yeah, no, they're definitely, they're in sessions. I will say, there was a team of us, so not necessarily being there all day. We were there all day, not necessarily being in session all day. We were kind of rotating, some days I went for, 5 days straight and maybe I had a day off, but then maybe Heidi or Reba stepped in. So I feel like we were constantly, rotating shifts. There were definitely extremely long hours of many different types of therapy. Yeah.
Wow, so it's a boot camp.
Natalie, some things you had with her. We have a very important question. Do you think Natalie is a witch, and specifically Baba Yaga, the Ukrainian witch we think possessed her body when she fell into a childhood lake?
Listen, if I wasn't on the show and I saw some of the memes in here, I would get where you guys are coming from.
Is that a yes or a no?
Yeah, we need a yes or no.
We need a yes or no.
Oh my gosh. If I have to listen, Natalie's in touch. Oh my God, it's so no, I would say Natalie's not a witch.
It's not Baba Yaga. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for your candor. Thank you.
But you did have a really great, we kind of said to Natalie, something that if you've listened a little bit, but we definitely kind of go on our own fan theories about kind of why someone is the way he is. And this is really, you had a session with Natalie, and you were kind of one of the first times where you really delved into the past. Like, we didn't know about her almost drowning at the lake. We didn't know, and we know there's probably even more. We feel like Natalie's dated some really bad guys out there that we just don't know the full history
There's a lot.
of. So what was that experience like kind of with her? Because you're on camera as well. It's not just a private therapy session. Like, how did you handle that moment with Natalie?
Yeah, first of all, again, I wasn't privy to all the past and all of these relationships. I really showed up in my true authentic self saying, I'm here for therapy. So I didn't know, all the background on some of them. Sitting there with Natalie, I was really absorbed in the moment because, to your point, having all these cameras in the beginning, it was very anxiety provoking. There's a lot you have to think about. But I was in it with her. When she was sharing, there was just something. I was feeling compassionate. I was feeling, I was feeling all different kinds of emotions sitting there as she's processing her trauma. So it was almost like the cameras and the world went away. And I was trying to be with her because she was sharing some pretty vulnerable moments. It let me see a different side of her. It let me see that this woman has a lot going through her brain that not many people are privy to. Not many people know her story. And it was intense, I'll say that. And again, you just saw a snippet of, all of the details that we shared. There was a lot more to it. I want to be clear with how something played out. It does not give, or it is not an excuse to how she may treat people. I know some people, some couples, some cast members were saying, this doesn't excuse. I agree completely. How she may have reacted doesn't excuse her behavior, but I will say it did give an amazing, a different point of view, a perspective, and insight into her world.
Yeah, she's been a cast member for quite a while. I never ever want her to leave my television. Because she will always do something that is interesting. And the other thing about what you said with her, my theory is with Natalie is she goes into every situation like a frightened animal that is either ready to survive. And it is just, you can see survival in her face, and it's one of the most riveting things that I could see. Anyway, thank you for your candor about that. Let's do a more fun question.
Okay, sure.
So in honor of Jasmine,
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Question. What do you prefer? Toes? No toes, we'll say. Clean toes or Gino's dirty toes? You have to choose one.
I have to. I was going to say D, none of the above. I'm not a toes or foot person.
Okay. So I think most people would agree with you in that way, especially with Gino's toes. I did not expect you to choose that one.
Well, you never know. They could have.
That was one where I actually got a little sick to my stomach when she.
Yeah.
Try eating dinner and seeing that.
I can imagine. But I with Jasmine too. Jasmine will come up with so many things. We met her in person at a live show. She and Gino came a couple months ago. Before they filmed this.
Okay.
And Jasmine. Maybe you can speak to this, and maybe you saw a different side of her. But Jasmine was actually quite reserved when we were working with her, and Gino was the extrovert.
Yeah.
And it's when she gets on camera, she gets more comfortable and starts sharing. That's the Jasmine we all know. And no one really knows the quiet, introverted Jasmine. Yeah.
You're making a good point. I think about many people, if not, dare I say all, but I think I was able to see, the behind the scenes of personalities and connecting with people. I think, the cameras start rolling and listen, these people have been on some shows. They know what TV wants. They know how to give a good show and episode. The reality is talking and seeing and experiencing Jasmine, as well as many, if not in my case, all of them. There's a different side. There's a softer side. There is, it's nice talking and engaging with them outside of cameras rolling.
Yeah. Do you think that Jasmine was emotionally cheating on Gino with Matt?
Matt, you're going there.
It's talked about. We know now. It's been
we know now.
Pregnant. They have a baby coming.
You're sharing your secrets with someone who might as well be a stranger.
I always try to look at both sides, right? And on one hand, I get, the piece of maybe, as she was saying, that there was some friendship. He was someone to confide in. He was someone that was there and supporting her. Again, up to that point, what I knew of maybe a friendship. The other side of that is when you are connected with someone and you have a good, tight friend, like the two of you, there's an emotional connection there, right?
Yeah.
So I think we can read between the lines that who knows really how it started. I think things are starting to come out now. We're seeing it in the media of what it really was or, how it played out. But yeah, there's some level, whether we want to call it a friend or something deeper, there are emotions and there was an emotional connection.
Yeah. So just to pivot a little bit, what do you think, as being a therapist, and what do you think the biggest determinant for success for a couple is when they enter therapy? In other words, and who do you think on the show kind of exhibited that?
Listen, I think in any relationship, both of the people in the relationship need to say, we want this. This is important to both of us, and we will go through hell and high water. We will fight for this. It's important.
Great point. Yeah.
Okay, so going off of that, of both partners wanting to do it, do you feel like one of the cast members, the couples, were kind of best prepared and in the same headspace? Because clearly Ari and Benny were not. They didn't make it.
No.
Shocker. But what couple do you think really both of them seemed like they were committed to be there?
There were a few. I mean, there were a few. There were a few. For me, Julia and Brandon, they had what I just spoke of, the desire to say, this is important to both of us. We want this to work. Not to say that others haven't. I think they just showed up in a different space. Florian and Stacy also had that level of commitment, and we're here for the right reasons. And we want this to work. Again, not to say that the other couples didn't.
No, yeah, we're not saying they weren't.
It looked a little bit. It looked different. Yeah,
because if we talk about somebody like Rob and Sophie, it feels like they maybe both wanted to be there, but they both wanted to be there on their own terms. And
I can't disagree.
Yeah.
I 100%, they both wanted to be there. And I actually, I loved working with both of them. They both did show up in trying to get the most they can. I think just their history and what they've both experienced throughout the duration of their relationship, it just contributed to making it that much more difficult to be able to work on certain issues.
I mean, Sophie does not need to be in a relationship. Girl, like you said, she needs a lot, kind of process her own trauma.
And they have that cycle. They have that really, really just like toxic cycle, to use an overused word, but where she blames him for something and he becomes the victim and says, yeah, you were going to blame me for something. And then it just goes over and over again. And it's so hard to watch.
Yeah, you guys have history of watching it. I think, Matt, you made a good point that they come in with so much past trauma. And many of the ones that I've worked with, there's a lot of past trauma there, and that makes it difficult. It's almost like an uphill battle. I got my own shit I'm dealing with, let alone the relationship.
Yeah. Do you think, now that we're kind of wrapping up and the season's almost finished, but we still have tell all, so there, I know you can't talk about things in the future, but do you, as a professional, is there any couple that you think, based off of working them, need to come back and spend another like month at the last resort?
All of them. All of them. Because here's the thing, y'all. I mean, here's the tea. The tea is we did some good work. I'm confident in that, regardless of maybe what people are seeing because of condensed short clips.
No, I think you are.
There was some. I'm happy walking away with the work that was done. That said, this was in the course of 3 weeks, y'all.
Yep.
So there's only so much. Even the best of the best therapists, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
There's so much to be done. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I felt like some seeds were planted, but to see what we're seeing now and how things play out in social media, I know that they walked away with something, some level of something, whether it was processing or tools and tips and strategies, but there's more that has to be done.
Yeah.
Whether they're together or not.
Yeah. Can we ask you, this is more personal questions for you, just like what you would have thought, like the cast went out several times to let loose. You as therapists can't do this because you need to be professional boundaries. Yeah. But who would you love to go out and have a cocktail with and get all the hot goss and the tea?
Oh my gosh. I would almost say all of them for different reasons, but some of them have bigger personalities. Jasmine's fun. I think she knows how to be the life of the party. She knows how to turn it on. Sophie and Julia are so cute and fun to watch their little dynamic together, and they can be playful.
They become good friends.
Yeah. Stacey's a hoot too. I mean, she's a great, caring, kind person. She knows how to have fun. I mean, there's a nice balance there.
Lovely. I love that. James, you are my runner-up for Miss Congeniality. You are just saying the nicest thing. Exactly.
The nicest.
I'm waving to the cameras right now with my yes.
Pairing for your whole life. Who do you think you would be compatible with as a partner for this cast? In other words, they have good communication skills or boundaries. You're like, can I choose the other? Can I choose none of the above?
You are pushing the limits. Oh my gosh, that's a good question. I almost want to plead the fifth, but then I want to give a little spicy tea here. Again, to play Miss Congeniality, they show up with different things. I'd almost want to pull different qualities from each one of them and make like the perfect relationship role model.
So you're saying they're all disasters. That's okay.
Drop the mic.
So
you heard it here first, everybody.
I totally get it. James Kelleher said they were all disasters.
We got it. We got it.
I'll be all over the blog tomorrow.
Exactly. So I think we're about to
a couple more. Yeah, I think I just want to ask real quick. Was there ever a couple you were working in the moment? And I know this from, Jake used to do coaching and teaching, and therapy. But I can't imagine, because sometimes you're with a client and you're working on something, you're going, this ain't a working. Yep. And you have to pivot. Now, I don't imagine how you do that with cameras rolling on you, but was there ever a moment, whether we saw it or maybe we didn't, where you were in session and you just really had to kind of flip things for yourself because, and then it allowed kind of a breakthrough to happen?
Absolutely. Two of those moments. I can give one or both.
Please give it all.
Oh, please
give it all. The first one was in the very beginning with Sophie and Rob, and I was not prepared for Sophie. It was true. It was real. Having a moment, breakdown in communication. Sophie flees. Yep. I'm there to be a host essentially, and not, run, chase, do hiking and therapy. So being able to go be with Heidi, what again, we'll say condensed and not able to see the full session. I actually hiked to the top of this mountain and sat with Sophie and Rob. Wow. And we had that pivotal moment, and it was something that was amazing. It was two people that were completely shut off and kind of like F you to, okay, you know what? We're going to do this hike and we're going to try to have, a moment together. And that's exactly what it turned into. And while it wasn't, a life-changing moment, it was a shift. Therapeutically, I saw it, and there was a change. It was difficult to be in that moment. My brain went in a different direction, but something amazing came out of it.
Right.
The other moment that wasn't so pretty was Natalie and Josh. I had some time with them, and it was a lot. It challenged me to my soul.
Well, I mean, you probably can't, but I'm going to ask you anyway. But do you think Josh is stringing her along? Maybe you can't answer that, but it does feel like I understand his reasoning, because Natalie is so combustible. I think it's a good word for her. I wouldn't want her necessarily around my kids if I didn't feel safe at all. But at the same time, it does feel like, though, he keeps dangling the treat in front of her and to get her to follow.
I think if I was on this 90-day bandwagon, and if I was following everybody and I knew what all of the viewers and you guys know, I could see that. Absolutely. From the short time that I had with them and saw, I didn't necessarily feel that it was stringing along. I could see both perspectives. I was kind of Switzerland. I was very neutral, and I got what drove him and his reactions and responses. And it seemed almost the opposite of him dangling the carrot and stringing her along. But again, I had a small window to look into.
We bring up like Reba brought up that she was practicing ethical non-monogamy on the show. James, do you practice that? And if so, are you actively looking for a third?
Because we did not discuss this question.
Oh, sorry. I can chat my Piano Cat link in the comments.
James,
I feel like I would have to bring my husband to sit next to me. But listen, the mere fact that you guys are bringing this up, I am flattered, and I love both of you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's fine. You never asked to know. Anyway, I think that's against the laws, though, of ethical non-monogamy. I've heard. Anyway,
in the words of Sean, terms we're finding out.
In the words of Sean Robinson, I think we're going to have to leave this here.
We're going to have to leave this here.
You just said it beautifully.
We are so excited to see you on the rest of the last of the season and on the tell-alls. And
love you all. We love Heidi. I love Reba.
Love the therapy team. Reba, James, Sarah, and Heidi too.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for saying that. That especially coming from the two of you that are seasoned and experienced, and everybody. That to me, I'm serious. It means a lot.
This is my favorite iteration of 90 Day. I love this iteration.
I just love how you guys never. I never see any of you guys kind of go in and be. You always try to see the problem for what's presented and thinking, how can we work together to solve this instead of being accusatory like a lot of reality TV panels would do. So we really appreciate that about you guys. So
thank you. I just want to say, my little tidbit that I wish I could leave many people with. I try to show up in this world and say curious, not furious, because that frees us of judgment.
Ooh.
She's got quotes.
Okay.
The Reverend Mother James Kelleher is giving her a sermon here. Can the church say amen?
Amen.
James, well, thank you so much for spending time with us. And I know you've already feeling it. Good luck at the tell-all. I hope you make it out alive of this, girl.
I'm preparing for my own therapy. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you, James. We'll see y'all later.
You guys are amazing. Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. This was great.